morning. Welcome back to Bush Tea and Gen Z. Real Talk in the Morning. This is episode 4, Social Media and Self-Worth. Good morning, good morning. I have two beautiful ladies here in the studio with me. I have Dr. Nicole Sims and Tamara Ramos, Territorial Outreach Coordinator, who meets students where they are in her behavioral health work. Good morning, ladies. How are you?
Good morning.
Morning.
Wow.
I'm good.
Yeah, man. Everybody look good, so I know we're doing good, right? All right, so this is episode 4. We've been having quite a great few weeks of discussion every Thursday. And I'm excited about this one specifically because it's in my arena, social media, things of that nature, and how it affects not just Gen Z, of course, that's our focus, but also the community, right? Mm-hmm. So we're going to have some real conversations, and I'm excited to have these conversations today. So good morning to everyone again, and this is brought to you by 101.3 Row FM and the Virgin Islands Department of Health. I'm your host, Neka Neekes, and I'm so happy to have you guys tuning in today for this conversation. Today's conversation is going to be something that's a big part of Gen Z's everyday life, social media. All right. This generation is growing up with filters, followers, algorithms, apps that shape how you see yourself. And when it comes to mental health and self-worth, the impact can be very deep. So my question is for you ladies, we're going to just jump straight into the meat of it because it'll get so good, right? We ain't got double dutch too much. So when does social media actually help? And when is it going too far that it creates a hurt?
Okay, well, for me, I feel like social media goes too far when when the Gen Z population or any kind of population tries to mimic somebody within that, when they see like Nicki Minaj or Cardi B, they try to pretend that they're that person. Mm-hmm. And sometimes for me, when it helps people is when you actually see people, whether it's like when we have like ads for like 988, or you see people going through traumatic situations and they're sharing their stories, they're able to actually help other people.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I agree absolutely with that. I think one of the areas too where it becomes scary is when everyday occurrences just kind of stop. So literal, no shower, no brushing your teeth. Like you're just up and ready, like on screen. Mm-hmm. That is like, okay, we're sliding into addiction. We're in full blown addiction at this point in time. So there's a definite need to regulate. But like Tamara is saying, this is the way of the world right now. So having the resource basically at your fingertips for support that you need in life is also a strong component for it.
Correct. I agree wholeheartedly. Now, you mentioned some of the signs of when it's becoming a negative impact, but what about people that are they high functioning? Mm-hmm. So they can be going through great stress. I tend to be one of them people, by the way. But you could be going through a lot, right? But you can show up and be like, "Hi, how you doing?" And you would never really know. They say those kind of people, unfortunately, are the ones that you don't usually see coming. But we have more and more, especially with social media, and the narratives that people show of like, don't show your pain. Mm-hmm. You gotta show up strong. Everybody wants to be him, everybody wants to be her, regardless of age. There's a competition of status and image for everyone. So it's getting harder and harder to tell because we're hiding behind our real lives and showing a different thing on screen, right? So that's one aspect, but how can Gen Z actually create boundaries that protect their peace?
So I think that would be around keeping yourself grounded in reality, right? Because like you said, you see things all the time that people put out, even person to person, not even social media. We put out what we want to put out, right? We're sitting in the studio together, but you're not seeing like all of Nicole. So it's like it's a natural thing. But I think the being grounded in reality to know this is a part of life. And the reality is that, yes, this is what I'm seeing. I can take from this what applies to me and leave what does not.
Right.
We kind of have to remain in our headspace in order to navigate. And, for adults, you would have to help, younger people with that. But that has to be done. You have to stay in reality.
That's true. So I guess we got to find ways to kind of like reel each other back in. Yeah. And it's important to have those circles because sometimes you can be straying and you don't even realize how far you've gone. And you need somebody to be like, hey, I like to call it pulling on my friend's balloon strings because, to get a little delulu. You got, hey, come back. So you need somebody to hold on to your balloon string for you, right? Don't leave float off too far. So, but Tamara, I'll start with you, all right? You recently asked some Gen Z students to share their thoughts on social media and mental health. What are students saying about their social media use and their favorite apps?
Okay, so most of the students that I interacted with, they said like Snapchat, TikTok, and Instagram are the most popular, and they use it like about 10 times a day daily.
That's it?
Yeah.
It seems like a lot more than that in my house.
I mean,
I'm just kidding.
some people scroll for like casual use, and then some people scroll just because they're looking,
And then some people are the content creators for the content that we watch, so they add it.
Exactly.
Creating the algorithm, right? So it's something that it's so unique to experience in our lifetimes. Think about it. Like, our parents never had to go through that, really and truly. They see the back end of it, and most of them don't really want to tap into it because they don't understand it fully, so they avoid it. Or you'll hear a lot of the older generation saying, only thing I'm gonna do on this phone is accept calls. Or I remember when my father really started to use emojis, I got nervous. When my dad started using emojis. So imagine the younger generations, Gen Z and such, and these different apps and how they express themselves, and instead of actually smiling, we send LOL,
right?
So there's a lot of those aspects and things of that nature. But what are they saying about how it affects their mood? Because I'm happy, but I text an LOL and I don't actually smile. So does that create disconnects in how they're able to really express themselves, what's real and what's not?
So most of the students say it makes them happy or makes them feel a neutral feeling, especially when they're watching like funny videos. And some admit that it depends on what they're seeing, will depend on how their mood is. And then some people say it's if they know the person, it could be triggering, so they could be affected by it.
Right, that's true. But I like that you said some say neutral. Because that's really what it is when you think it's funny, but you're not actually laughing, but you say LOL.
Yeah.
Or you send an emoji, A lot of times we send an emojis and we're not actually displaying those emotions. Correct. Right. So, so I can see how that can affect moods and things of that nature as well, too. But do you feel like it creates an avenue for us to be numb?
I think it does, because a lot of people aren't able to actually express who they truly are. Right. So they kind of are like functioning. They could be depressed. They could be depressed.
Functioning depression. Right. Right.
And it's just like everybody always puts a face forward, but you don't know what the person is struggling.
Actually,
What I like about social media is everybody right now is actually expressing how they're actually feeling and making it more relatable to other people.
Right. We're finding the words. We're finding the ways to say the things. Right. And especially, I like to think the older generations, they were taught not to show emotion, right? So we got a little bit of that as well too, because you had to show face, you had to, show up. And a part of that is we're realizing now how toxic that is in our healing, because how can you touch it if you don't even acknowledge that it's real?
Correct. No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Very true.
So I love that we're able to have these conversations to really say, maybe my mindset around that is wrong, and that's why I'm still struggling with X, Y, and Z. So, but do you feel like they compare themselves a lot to others online? I think they do.
Yeah, so a lot of them said they do have done it, and a lot of them, it made them feel bad, but then when they really thought about it, they kind of knocked themselves out of it and realized like they're their own person and they don't have to compare themselves to other people.
I feel like there's catch-22, because when you actually get to that space, when you stop the comparison and you get grounded in being who you are, in one way, social media can be intimidating because it shows you, this is what everybody else got going on. But in so many other ways, it also shows you in vast communities and other ways that it's okay to be yourself, because there's so many different people of walks of life all throughout the world. Right. So you stop feeling like, I don't have to conform to my community. I can be myself. There are communities more like me, and I can still be a part of my community and be myself and just create my own lane. And you're seeing a lot more of that creatively and in so many different ways, especially with these younger generations. So I think that's the positive to take away from it, but it still has that heavy weight to meet certain standards, especially everybody wants to be a money man and this and that and the jewelry and everybody wanted big cars and the Louis Vuitton and all of that stuff, and that in itself creates pressures, unnecessary pressures, because you gonna wear it and then how many times before they start telling you them the only Gucci slides you have,
I'm telling something else.
so ain't no clear way about it, but it's the mindset that's most important, because it's only important if you make it important, right?
Yes, correct.
Yep.
So thank you, Tamara, for sharing those insights entirely. Dr. Nicole. She said when you're seeing the tattoos, her name is Nicole.
That's correct. Correct. Okay, the titles and all that are outside. Okay.
She said, talk to me nice.
See, I can flick my hair today.
I flinging it with you. Hey. That's right. So tell me, Dr. Nicole, we hear a lot about the highlight reel, only seeing the best parts of someone's life. Let's talk about how that plays into feeling of not being enough or always needing to keep up.
Yeah, well, it goes back to the comparison.
Right.
Imposter syndrome is real. So you see something and you're like, man, this is what I need. This is what I want. Right. And it's also the grounding reality. So if you don't know, like, you know what, this is Nicole. This is kind of how Nicole is supposed to be. And, there's nothing wrong with taking bits and pieces from what you see, especially how it's framed. So if someone frames it and they're like, listen, I live in Ohio, and I'm the only person that looks like me, shaped like me, but this is what I choose to wear. The message is relayed still where it's kind of positive, like, you can still be your own person.
Correct.
But if there are these types of videos where it's like, no, this is it. This is the only way. This is the only thing after a while. You know what I mean? Because social media, screen time period is programmed to change your mindset. That's the whole point of it.
True.
So, you're just constantly getting it over and over. It's kind of like, no, I have to be this way. And it's like, it's an impossible goal. It keeps the goalpost will keep moving because it's not you.
Right. And that's so true. I like you said, imposter syndrome, because it's so easy to be exposed to something long enough. You feel like I can be that.
Absolutely. After a while, your whole mind just shifts and it's like, okay, this is me. And it's like, okay.
Right.
It's really
especially
not.
if you're struggling with things internally, because then you want to disassociate. You want to remove yourself from your experience. So I can see that being an issue, but going how far is too far? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and like I say, pulling on a balloon string, reeling them back in. That's why it's great to have a circle to check on your people in. But
absolutely. Touch grass. Okay?
Yeah. You want this grass, Lord.
Yeah, that's the thing.
You gotta
touch it.
Listen, remember we in the Virgin Islands, okay? You gotta be specific about the grass. You gotta be specific about the grass. So, all right. So, how can Gen Zers tell the difference between healthy and harmful social media use? Healthy use supports connection and creativity, right? So how can we dissociate, and how can they differentiate what is healthy and what is harmful social media use?
So I would kind of break that down to feeling, right? What feeling does that give to you? How do you feel after you look at something? Right? Is it encouraging you to do something else? Is it making you feel good and happy? Like Tamara said, some things make you feel good. Sometimes literal videos, like I use TikTok and everything so I could laugh. Like if I'm having a heavy day, I'm like, you know what? Let me go look at some cats.
That's so true.
Tearing up the house, or
that so
whatever.
True.
It's a mood shift. So if you know and you can compartmentalize, okay, this is kind of what I want to do with it. That's great. If you're losing yourself to the point where you feel bad, you watch something you feel bad, all of a sudden it's self-doubt, it's like a lot of like hate speech to yourself, then it's time for a shift.
And you know what? I'm glad you mentioned that, because with that specifically, we have something we have to be very cautious of when it comes to those things, and that's the algorithm and how it's designed. Because if you're already on a spiral and you might see a video or a picture or post that you relate to in your darkness and what you're feeling in that time, and you click on that or share it with somebody, you're going to continue getting more and more and more of that. And you probably don't even realize that you're setting your algorithm to be like that. And after a while, that's all you're seeing. Now you're overly depressed and you feel like everybody is against you. Then things that it feels like you can't escape it, which is where it becomes extremely dangerous.
Extremely dangerous. And if you don't have the wherewithal to shift it back, right, then you kind of stuck. You're stuck in this cycle. Like you ever just say something, you be like mop, and then you go on your phone, it's like mop sales.
Right now, listen, I promise you, as soon as I pick up his phone, it's gonna be like, imagine this.
Right. So it's like, okay, Big Brother is listening and watching.
For sure.
But you really, like you said, really have to kind of control the intake. The intake really makes a difference.
Yeah, if you research T-shirts a week long, that is all your algorithm would give you.
All the sales in the world.
That's
different
it.
Designs, colors. You're like, okay, I'm over this.
Right. And if you don't understand that that's how it works, if you're in your mind, you're just consuming, and you're not actually out searching, you will stay in that loop. I've seen that happen to people already.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's like, So I like to send memes. I like to send videos. I'm the friend. I'm going to send you different stuff because I'm going to help you change up your algorithm. We're going to laugh today. I like to laugh. You know, laughter is healing for the soul. So regardless of what we're going through, and look at even onto the hurricanes and stuff, in those moments, laughter kept us together. Laughter kept us positive. So in the same things, we got to remember those things, you know? So what are some of the most common mental health effects you see in Gen Z?
So some of the things that, what are the most common effects? So I feel like one of the most common effects that I see within the Gen Z throughout social media is like self-confidence.
Yeah.
And then like sometimes it's like depression.
Uh-huh.
And
That's
like
true.
Suicidal thoughts, depending on like what they're seeing.
Correct.
In their algorithm.
Correct.
You know, it just depends on what they're looking at.
Right.
Because I've seen situations where like my niece would be looking at something and she would tell me like she's sad and that's all she's seeing and she's sending me all kind of different things and I'm like, oh, okay, girl, let me send. I'm the friend to or the aunt or any kind of person to send you funny things because I want you to be able to laugh and stuff like that. So I feel like it just, mental health is such a funny thing because today we could be happy and within the next couple minutes we could be sad.
One wrong post and you know it's so funny because one wrong post and a whole VA talking about the same thing.
Correct.
You could scroll for 2 days and until they're done talking about it, that is what the topic of discussion is.
Absolutely.
So, but you know, there are ways to go around those things and we just got to be mindful of such. So, but it's such a thing to experience in real time and to see how it affects everybody differently. But we'll get back into this and more after these messages by some of our sponsors. We got to keep the lights on and keep the mics on. It's 101.3 Real FM, WEVI, and Bush T and Gen Z this morning. Keep it locked. Don't go anywhere.
I don't know why you're so sad. You've got a roof over your head.
Bro, you gotta stop with that depression stuff. That's a white people thing.
Escúchame, en esta casa los hombres no lloran.
You alright?
It just feels like it's coming from everywhere.
Do you want to talk about it?
Thanks for hearing me out, bro. Appreciate it.
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad. Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
All right, and we're back. Welcome back, welcome back. It is 101.3 Row FM, WEVI, and Bush T and Gen Z, episode 4, Social Media and Self-Worth. We're here in the studio with Dr. Nicole Sims and Tamara Ramos, Territorial Outreach Coordinator. Welcome back again. How y'all doing?
We're good.
Yes, we've been having a great conversation, both on and off the air, I might add. So, getting back into the conversation, and I love that we're talking about social media and the effects it has, not just on Gen Z, but overall in a community, because what applies to Gen Z, they might receive it differently, they might respond differently. However, all of us are affected. Young, old, in between, whether you understand the apps or not, you're affected. Right? Mm-hmm. Even out to our news, our greatest articles, the weather, everything is usually passed. Social media is the first place people go to find updates, especially here in the community because it's a small community. We have multiple islands. But if I really want to know what's going on around me and I'm here, or even just at home, this is where they're going to look. And if you're living away, you have some kind of ties to the Virgin Islands, so you're tapped in anyway. And social media makes that easy. Versus before, you had to watch the news. Correct. You had to actually wait for the news to come on. Right. Or ask somebody. So it's funny because we all get the information in real time now, but now we're able to have the discussions about it in real time as well. And that comes with a whole nother slew of things that we're dealing with, because when you're dealing with human beings, it's emotions, it's past traumas, it's things, and we're understanding where your norm, my norm, and your norm may be three completely different norms, even though we come from the same place.
Correct.
And we're affected by the same things. We go about it differently, and we respond differently.
Right.
Yeah.
So I love this conversation that we're having as far as it pertains to this. We'll jump right back into it. Why do comparison and validation play such a big role online, especially for teens? And any one of you could feel free to jump in on this one, because I feel like this is something that all of us can speak on, right?
I feel like, the world is shaped in comparison.
Yes.
There's a measure that you kind of put yourself up against naturally.
Right.
That's why we go to school. That's
Correct.
why we, buy clothes and these types of things.
That starts in elementary school.
Exactly.
What you're wearing, who
Correct.
you're
Your sneakers, your ruffle socks. So
Correct.
It's a thing that's going to happen.
Yes.
The danger is looking for validation through it. So
Right.
it's like you've already decided this is what I'm going to do, but then you're like, okay, wait, before I even step out, let me check and see.
Right.
Now you start into addiction,
Yeah.
which is a very big part of this social media thing too, because it's kind of, the same mental health pathways as
Yes.
drug use, which is something that a lot of people don't necessarily know or understand.
Yes.
And if you slide all the way into that, it's very difficult to come back out. You've lost identity. You have no idea who you are. You don't even know what's happening. You just know, like, it's a fix. It's an addiction at this point in time. So, yeah, it could get dangerous pretty quickly.
And I would assume that affects their development, because we're talking about young individuals, teenagers, and otherwise. Because Gen Z in itself, for those of you who are listening that may not know, Gen Z qualifies the ages between 13 to 28 actively for the year 2025.
Yes.
So if 10 years from now, it's not going to be the same age. They will have aged by then. Okay, so stay with me, follow. But for right now, it's aged. They are aged 13 to 28. Yeah. That's a wide gap, because 13 can't necessarily relate to 28, but in the same generation.
In the same,
right?
correct.
And the same is true for all generations in some way, shape, or form. So
I kind of want to touch on something you just said in terms of developmental.
Yes.
Right? Something came up yesterday where, persons were talking about their 3 and 4 year olds being able to navigate devices.
Yes.
And they were like, oh my God, they're so gifted they can do that. I want people to understand that is technological familiarity.
Yeah.
That is not developmental.
Developmental. Oh
That's
my
two
God.
different roads. So
say that again.
That is technological familiarity. Okay. It is not developmental readiness. So because they can swipe, now in their minds they're associating color and patterns. That's the swipe. Same algorithm we talked about. It's designed for you to go through that like, with your eyes closed.
Correct.
So it fits. But do not equate that with how your child is developing. Please.
Mommy's out here, Hercules. Oh my God.
So smart. Give me an application for college. No, ma'am.
Oh, my baby is a genius. No, your baby is a human being that is developing the way that they should. Correct. But you still need to make sure. Now, they're losing because we feel like, oh, well, he could do that. I don't have to make sure that he has this, and this. And then you find out that they don't have those things later on. So because we're still, a lot of these things technologically are still new within the last 10, 20 years, right? We were the generations that they rolled out the computers, and I just posted that this morning. Oh, the Skittle computers. Listen, the pink and blue and purple. Yeah. So we were the ones that they tested that on. But and it's so funny because that was on my what's the word? My controversial tip this morning when I said growing up is realizing that we were the test dummies in those rooms, because at that time when we were really in those rooms with the big back computers, back computers, right? They were heavy, right? And slow.
That stupid sounder.
Lad, we telling our age. But you had that, right? And we were the ones that they tested it on. We realized that they used us to get them into every household because it was mandatory for us to learn it in school first. And then by the time we made it to junior high, it was mandated that we had one at home that we can have computer classes and homework and all of those things. Yeah. Eventually, a computer was in every home. That's right. We're the generation that they used to do that. Yeah. Now, laptop computers, my phone is a computer, right? Yep. And we have glasses now that can record with the flip of your wrist and things of that nature. And it's just getting faster. And mind you, we were in school when that happened. what's going to be in the next 10 years.
Yeah.
It's moving quickly. But our development as human beings is not moving as fast. We're actually being left behind because developmentally, we're not putting as much time and energy into raising and rearing and giving experiences. So there are disconnects. And I'm sorry, but life, as much as we rely on these things, there's a lot more to life than just technology. You have to be able to navigate, feelings, emotions.
Correct.
You know,
we're not regulated to receive this amount of information.
We're not.
We're like really pushing limits on a daily basis. Yeah.
And we're seeing the remnants of that because with the rise of technology, we're also seeing the rise in mental health illness.
Correct. Yeah.
Simultaneously. And just as fast. So, hence why we're here today. So, guys, we ain't lost just quite yet. There's still hope. So, where were we? Hold on.
It's so good. We're all over the place.
Right, we're all over the place, and it's just so genuine and so natural. I love it, lad. So let's get some more insights into what Gen Z says about social media. Do they take breaks, or do they feel that they can unplug, or is it more like a punishment?
So it's like a mix. It was a mix with the kids because I had one girl who says she took a break completely and she don't really care about social media anymore. And then some takes breaks because they don't have access to the phone because maybe their parents took the phone away.
That's true.
So it's either one or the other, or they just aren't entertained at that moment, or they have to go into class that they will take a break. Yeah.
Anything you want to add on that? I'm going to tap in on this real quick. You just said something, right? They could take the breaks and they could unplug. Let me tell you something. This Gen Z, you said it goes from 13 to 28, right? Those older Gen Zers, let me tell you what we're dealing with. But not we. I ain't one of them. But I could tell you what they're dealing with. So a lot of them that want to come off because of the social pressures and stuff, and they can't. You know why? Because with the rise of technology and the rise of the social media, and everybody is a promoter and everybody is a content creator, some of them are tapped in because their opportunities come from social media. Their clientele for their businesses, they're doing lashes, they're doing wigs, they're doing skincare, they're doing massages, they're doing consultations, and no matter what it is. Some are even realtors. Everybody's selling life insurance. Who they selling it to? When was the last time somebody just walk up and knock on your door and said, "Hi, I have an opportunity for you"?
Exactly.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Social media is what is actually it's entertainment on one end, but we're depending on it more and more as we integrate commercialism as well as businesses and everything into it. So how is it that you step away when your bread and butter is attached? That's almost like saying, I'm going to quit my job for this week and hope I get paid next week.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's hard.
Yeah, it's very
So
hard.
then it's a catch-22, and then you're finding some that just succumb and say, okay, well, I can't take a break. Let me find something else. And they develop unhealthy habits, vices, and things of that nature. Some turn to, and I don't want to say it this way, but sex,
risky behavior.
so that they can feel something,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. That's that's a dopamine.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
The
That's
hype,
the
listen,
dopamine.
and everybody
Chase it
cheating
high.
because you know why? The dopamine high. That's
Exactly. That loop, you're like stuck in it a little bit. Yeah.
that, oh my God, I don't know if I'll get caught. It's like, Lord, but it's becoming norms. And then this is the thing, we're actively harming each other just to cope with the lifestyle that we have.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you tell somebody, come off of that, when it's like, okay, it's affecting you this way, but it's also helping you in this way.
Yeah.
It's like you're forever stuck in the middle and both sides of the cord are being pulled at the same time. So what can they do in terms of, when they get into those situations? What words of encouragement, what advice do you have for those who might be struggling with that?
I honestly think there's an opportunity for integration. Technology is not going anywhere.
Right.
Like, as we sit
Showing-
and speak here,
AI
there are
just
teams-
reached.
Yeah, there are teams that are like leaps and bounds ahead. Right.
Right.
And we like all use it because
Yes.
even for me, right, as a PhD, it's based in research.
Yeah.
when I did my PhD almost 10 years ago, my God, the amount of books and paper and this and that and the third. And now it's like, even if I have to go research an article or something like that, it's like, boom. And I'm like, man, that was like easy. So the benefits of it, but I feel like it calls for integration. So even in schools, like I'm not telling schools what to do, don't come for Nicole, but there's an opportunity to say, okay, let's compare and contrast maybe. Right?
Yes,
let's do an assignment where you have to like go to the library and you have to like do the book thing. And then compare it to just fingertips.
I like that
Things
because
like that.
why eliminate it? You still need to learn how to read books.
You're going to use it when you get a
and
job,
research, right?
We're going to be on ChatGPT 50.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's not going anywhere.
Right.
So instead of trying to cut it at the limb, integration and figure out like what is the best way to use this? How does it benefit you? I think is a better strategy.
I like what you said with that, because what if we adapt what was done with the millennials where this was rolled out? Because up until junior high, we really didn't have a need for it. Right. So we learned the basics, how to research, how to use a library, how to find information in a book, writing a research from just using the handheld tools, right? Encyclopedias, things of that nature, so they can explore that way of learning and experiencing themselves while they're developing their innate emotions, cognitive, I lost the word, but you know what I'm talking about. and then moving on, junior high and high school, then you introduce the computers and all that stuff, because then they'll have that going forward, but they'll never have an opportunity to go back.
Right.
So it's either you get it or you don't. So we have to create the avenues for them to get it. So again, like Nicole mentioned, I am not telling the schools what to do, so don't come for me. This is just, these are not the views of the station.
Right, exactly. Or that of Dr. Sims.
So I mean, I would love that, because then we're holding on to the ways of old. They still have the skill sets. Because if we ever have a grid shut down.
Exactly. You have to know what to do.
Hello. You have to know how to find information. Correct. Correct. So, it's so important for us to do, all those things and integrate it, like you said. I love that, because I see like that is a way to bridge it, and it also gives them ways to adapt skills before they become so dependent on technology. Absolutely. So I love that. But we're gonna cut to a commercial break. We gotta pay the bills, keep the lights on, keep the mics on. It's a conversation. It just gets better every week. So make sure you tell a friend to tap in every Thursday at 9 a.m. We're gonna be right here. Gen Z and Bush Tea, bring your cup and a long spoon, because we're gonna hear that? Yes, we're gonna get it hot up in here. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. It's 101.3 Row FM, WEVI, and Bush Tea in the morning. All right, and we're back. Welcome back. It is Bush Tea and Gen Z. You're tuning in to 101.3 Row FM, WEVI. All right, and we are having this conversation today. We're here with Department of Health, and we're discussing social media and its effects on Gen Z, as well as our community, because we're going to spread this out all over. We're going to spread this out. So, guys, before the break, we were talking about the effects of social media, as well as, what are some of the ways that they can navigate what they're dealing with, and in real life, as well as on social media itself. How these apps navigate our lives is just insane these days, right? There's an app for everything. Oh, Lord. So, Dr. Nicole, this week's challenge is simple but powerful, right?
Yes.
Take a social media reset. And briefly, that could mean unfollowing one account that makes you feel drained, setting a time limit on an app, or taking a full 24-hour break. Whatever you choose, let it be something that protects your peace and puts your mental health first. Right? So let's talk about what that kind of looks like, right? Just briefly. What that kind of looks like in terms of taking a break, because we mentioned some people feel like they can't because they're so reliant on it for resources.
Yes, that's true. So we could go to the most extreme. So you put it down for 24 hours.
Right.
That is the most extreme.
Right.
I'm sure people are like, oh, cringing.
Right.
There's also, levels of scale. You can time, whereas like Tamara was mentioning, people are on there like 10, 12 times a day. You know,
Right.
maybe you just go through a couple of videos, or, you know, you limit that from the 10 to 12, you take it down to like half.
Right.
Right? You can do time of day as well. So you're like, you know what? I'm not going to indulge in the screen time, indulge in my phone during the day. I'm going to literally like go outside and I'm going to walk around. I'm going to just observe things, you know, like I think last time I was here, we talked about the 5 senses.
Right.
5 things I can see and 5 things I can touch and things like that. You know, so you can scale it. It doesn't have to be that, okay, you put your phone down for the 24. That might be a lot. You want to make it palatable. So, you know, you scale it, time of day and, you know, amount of time, frequency.
Right. So, and I know some people do meditation and stuff like that. So just being able to disattach. Some people use it to work out, you know, might put on their phone and say, okay, for this time frame, I'm just going to do this and focus on only this, change my mental, change my attitude, breathing exercises.
Correct.
So journal, right? Some people rap. You know?
And you know, one of the things too is that's fun. As Tamara said, journal, you can take a lot of the technology-driven activities and make them tangible things. So journaling would replace texting.
Right.
Literal face-to-face conversations will replace, like, you know, you're on the phone or your voice noting or whatever the case.
Right.
And like I said, you know, sight, just kind of seeing things for what it is as opposed to the videos. You're looking at other people's experiences. Build your own. Journal your own. Document your own. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
absolutely. And just being consistent with it even is a big deal, because with how life is going, it's hard to create patterns sometimes, because you might say, hey, I don't want to be on my phone for 10 minutes today, but the meaty stuff that going on in Melee is at this time, so I need to adjust my time.
That's my 10 minutes.
Right. So, but we got to wrap up the show. This conversation has been so amazing. We tapped in on some very important points, as well as some ways that we can, you know, alleviate the stressors that social media can bring. You know, life, like you mentioned, Dr. Nicole. And you keep telling me, call you Nicole only, you know, but the doctor is just so tea for me. I just, listen. All right. So, you know, you mentioned that what that can look like for some people. And I feel like if we find those balances and we're aware of it, we can navigate it a little bit better. But especially when you're younger, you don't always have those answers, and you tend to just get anxiety and shut down. So these are different ways that, especially for Gen Zers, as well as anyone else, you can navigate what you're going through in real life, as well as what you're seeing in social media, and be able to navigate the two in a healthy way.
Absolutely.
Correct. Yeah.
So that's our show for today. A huge thank you to our guests, Dr. Nicole Sims and Ms. Tamara Ramos, for sharing their expertise and for continuing to support the mental wellness of our youth in our community and otherwise. Anywhere they could hear our voice, we're doing the work. Right?
Absolutely.
Hey. So, and to our Gen Z listeners, remember, you're not alone, and your mental health matters, okay? You are not alone, and your mental health matters. If you or someone you know needs support, I'm going to give you some numbers that you can call. You can call or text 988 at any time. All right. Or you can contact the VI Department of Health Behavioral Health Division, St. Thomas, 340-774-7700. St. Croix, 340-712-0096. St. John, 340-776-6400. All right. And join us again next Thursday. This conversation continues. This is our 4th episode. It's been an absolutely amazing round of conversations every Thursday. I gotta say, I've been enjoying this round of conversations for real. So join us next week, Thursday, for another episode of Bush Tea and Gen Z. Real Talk in the Morning, where we'll talk about settling boundaries and relationships at school and online. Until then, take a breath, take care of yourselves, and remember, it's okay to talk about it. Ladies, next week, I will be bringing your Bush Tea, because Dr. Nicole has said she been here twice now, and she ain't got a copy yet. So, ladies and gentlemen, me and my mental health going to fix this problem. It's been a pleasure speaking with you ladies today. Thank you for joining us. And to you guys, man, time flies when we having fun, but we'll be back again next week. And I'll be on tomorrow with Bush Tea in the Morning as well too. So I'll see you guys next time. Be safe. Keep your hands at 10 and 2. All right. Love each other and be good. Be good. I'll see you next time.